Here we go. Well, thank you everyone for joining our session today. We really appreciate it. And we want to tell you about an exciting, let's say, project that we've been working on. And a while back in April 23rd, I think it was, in 2021, I did a presentation on knowledge mobilization and at Niagara University as a faculty development type thing. And what happened from that was my initiative was to think, okay, there was a lot of good feedback from that session and people were saying, why don't you put together a research center where it's focused on knowledge mobilization and the resources and things that faculty could use. So from that, I applied for a master grant in the fall and it was accepted. And so then I hired as such 3 fine students from Niagara University, Ontario. Well, actually, I guess, Danielle, you're not Ontario campus. You're in your PhD program, which would be Niagara, the New York side. And off we go. So as we were working on things and had discussions, we came up with great ideas, and we want to present to the faculty our great ideas and what our initiative is, and just take it from there. So without further ado, I will share my screen here with everyone, and you should see the welcome. So basically, our agenda is to put together what we're calling a self-serve research and knowledge mobilization center. And what that's going to look like, we're going to explain everything, what it's going to look like, and how this is the sustainability of it. And because again, when the grant money, is finished, we want to make sure that this initiative can continue on. So it's all about sustainability. And later on, we're going to talk about some other things of what the vision is of this KMB Center. And I'll introduce you to the team. So my job today is to sort of let everyone know what knowledge mobilization really is, to give you a little bit of an overview of that in case you didn't know, or if you missed it the last time, or it's just a refresher. So first of all, I want to introduce the team. And again, you know myself, I'm Patricia Briscoe, and I'm with the College of Education. And I work in the Ontario campus at Niagara University. And I teach mostly in the master's program of Ed Leadership. And I do courses as well in the teacher education program there. So our next team member is Sam. If you can give us a wave. There's Sam. And maybe you just want to introduce yourself, Sam. So I don't need to introduce you. You can introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Briscoe. Yep, my name's Sam. I'm a student at the Niagara University Master's Program for Educational Leadership. And I did my my teacher's education there as well. I've been with Niagara a few years, and it's a great program.
Thanks, Sam. And our next member is Danielle. Go ahead, Danielle.
Hi, nice to meet everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Danielle Desjardins, and I'm a graduate of Niagara University's Master of Science in Education program from 1997. I'm currently a high school principal in Windsor, Ontario, and really enjoying my time back at Niagara University as an evening and weekend student in the PhD in Policy and Leadership. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Danielle. And last but not least is Sama.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sama Andron. You can call me Sama. I am a fresh graduate of Niagara University and currently working as a grade 2 teacher in Peel Region. And this is I am also taking my last course in the Master of Education Leadership with Dr. Briscoe.
So that's our team. We call ourselves the KMB team. I basically let the 3 of them steer the ship, and I give little breadcrumbs along the way. So I have to say they've done a fantastic job thus far, just eyes and nose and ears, everything deep into KMB, and they've had to learn about the whole thing and then putting it all together so that we can share with the faculty what we've done thus far. So just a little bit, our agenda today, we first want to tell you a little bit about knowledge mobilization, what it is and why does it matter? And then talk a little bit about the mission and vision of the KMB Self-Serve Research Center. And then we have put together a website, and it's not yet housed at Niagara University, but we thought we would go through some of the aspects of the website, how we've kind of see everything rolling out in the future. And the last part is just to go over some practical examples of what faculty could do on the website and what kinds of things that they could help them with their research to promote knowledge mobilization and dissemination of research. So if I've missed anything, team, please let me know. I know you've gone over this, but feel free to ad lib with our agenda. Okay, so my job today is to talk about, well, what is KMB and why does it matter? And a very, let's say, very simple definition is nothing more than moving research-based evidence into practice or policy. And again, as you know, that could take many different avenues the way it goes, but really it's about, I mean, simply put, it's when you do research of things and you find and your findings, how do you make those findings find their way into practice so that people are using your findings in a productive way and or making changes in policy in positive ways. So and that can mean many different facets of how you look at that simple definition. So basically, in a nutshell, there you have it. It's about moving your research into practice or policy. So basically, this is a very neat kind of presentation of knowledge mobilization. And I'll just read through getting the right information to the right people in the right format at the right time, so as to influence decision making. And as you notice, there's a repetitive right. And that means because many times what happens in some of the pitfalls of moving research into practice is that academics have a really hard time putting things into plain language for people that are going to use them. So that's what I mean by the right information to the right people, and who would be the right people to use your research and in what kind of format. So that's some of the things that KMB looks at. The other one, moving knowledge into active service for the broadest possible common good. And so that's one of the agendas of the SHIRC here is our social science research, our federal grant money in Canada. And basically what they're looking at is that how can you, when you receive funding for research as a researcher, whether in a university or wherever, how do you make sure that it's active in the service for the broadest possible good? So, you know, I mean, medicine is always a good way that we kind of can make connections to that. So if you find the cure to something, how do you make it, disseminate it to the broadest possible audience, right, for active service at that time? So the second part, the process from the creation of evidence to its ultimate impact. So this is what the health, more or less, talks about knowledge mobilization in a different format, and they call it knowledge translation. And really it's about creating that pathway between the knowledge and how to make the most impact from the evidence that you found. Collaborative, and the final pillar here is collaborative problem solving between researchers and decision makers that happens through linkage and exchange. And that basically where we talk about partnerships and end users and intermediaries, that kind of thing. Okay, so some of the useful terms that always come up when you talk about knowledge mobilization is end user. So who will your research benefit? Who will use it? KMB product. So this is what it is that the outcome of your research. Are you going to do a summary, an event, a network? Maybe you'll even, you know, the traditional way of publishing your research in an academic journal and so forth. So all kinds of different things. Even now there's like podcasts. People do podcasts with each other and talk about their research, and that's a way of disseminating it. And what do you do with it thereafter? And then you have knowledge broker and intermediary, which really means that middle person that may help you move your research to the end user. And sometimes that might be a school board, or sometimes it might be a community partnership group, or sometimes it's basically a knowledge broker who takes your knowledge and figures out where it should go. And so it's like linking the gap between the researcher and the end user. So why does KMB matter? Well, let's talk about the world doesn't care about what you know. What the world cares about is what you do with what you know. So this is basically the agenda of all of KMB, as you have knowledge. So, okay, so what? So then you want to know what to do with it. And that's the agenda of KMB, is to help you know what to do with it and put it into practice. So one of the things that we always ask, why does it matter, is because there is a lot of money allocated for education and healthcare when it comes to research. So just as a little snapshot here, it's trillions of dollars that's given to researchers to conduct research in whatever way, whatever sort of low level, high level, whatever, grassroots research, whatever, that's given to people to conduct research, with the intent that the research is going to move into practice to help whatever the research was about. And sometimes it's not all research is can be used for knowledge mobilization, but it can be used for conceptual building and things like that. So here's a little bit of spending snapshot. 3.8 trillion in 2019 was spent on healthcare in the USA, and this is for research. 64 billion on education, 23 billion in Canada on education. So with all this money, you would think, wow, like that's a lot of money to be spent on research. And then you want to think, okay, we would like to think that all of this is being translated into practice, but it's not. So yeah, specifically 182.3 billion for 2013 for R&D funding, and 493.2 million for research funding in Canada. So this is the estimated what Antman and et al. Have said, that basically in 2001, which was before the big onset of a lot of knowledge mobilization, it took up to 15 years to get research into recommended policy and 40% implementation into practice. So that's, in some instances, when you think about all the money that's spent on research, that's not a very good linkage, right? So knowledge mobilization and knowledge translation within the health was that sort of initiative to try and help close that gap. So some of the common challenges that come up, which we're hoping that we can help you with this, with the self-serve Knowledge Mobilization Center, is help you understand why is there poor access to relevant research and evidence. Research-based evidence is not useful or usable. Lack of capacity to use evidence, so timing, lacking motivation, whatever, and different understandings about the value of various types of evidence for practitioners. So what we've done is taken these challenges and tried to give you solutions to these challenges within the Self-Serve Knowledge Mobilization Center. Okay, so now let's move to the mission and vision of the NU KMB Self-Serve Research Center. So team members, who's next?
All right. So I'd like to preface this section by saying Niagara University, as far as I've been here, has always been invested in the most current research available to inform practice for all their staff and their students. And our vision includes a future where useful current research does not take years to be processed and shared, but rather that the information is available as soon as it is accepted into its relative fields. So the mission of our knowledge mobilization program is bringing the most current research to the respective practitioners' doorsteps, to have the right information in the hands of the right people so that the best possible outcomes can be achieved. And as Dr. Briscoe said, it can take about 15 years for information to get translated from acceptance to practice. And Dr. Briscoe, if you can go to the next slide. So we would like to show you what we've been working on. Here we have our website. Give me 2 seconds and let me pull it up for you. Sorry, the technology is being a little finicky on me right now. Just one
I can do
moment.
it if you want, Sam. If you need me to pull it up.
Oh, it's all right. Well, let me know if you guys can
Oh,
see
there it is. You got it. You've got it.
Okay. All right. So, like Dr. Briscoe said, this is not linked in any way to the Niagara website. We have our own external website through Google Sites. We are hoping eventually that this will migrate over and we'll be able to make it on the website as a permanent fixture. However, we have a little intro and a little bit of background for Sama, Danielle, and myself. We've been putting this data together, getting all the info from all the relative fields and kind of compiling it into a one-stop shop for knowledge mobilizations for whoever wants to come visit this website and make themselves KMB certified, pretty much, to understand what they're doing and how they can accomplish it. It's funny that Dr. Briscoe mentioned the Institute of Medicine because that 17-year gap can be a pretty big problem, and we're here to limit that gap.
I'll jump in and tell you again, actually, Dr. Briscoe already mentioned what is knowledge mobilization. So as she said, knowledge mobilization is just about getting the right information. There's 4 rights, right information to the right people in the right format at the right time. So if you miss one right thing, your research is actually going to be lost. So it's very important to focus on the right information, right people. Who is your end users? Are they practitioners? Are they policymakers? Are they teachers? You have to make sure who is the right people. And what is the format you're using? Is it really so complicated language? It's full of jargons, nobody can get it, or it's really plain language? So this is really very important and essential. Getting the right information to the right people in the right format. And I think we skipped it. Yeah. So why we're doing KMB? Why KMB? Why in particular KMB? What is the reason behind doing that? I'm going to go back to my page here. So as we know, most research funding agency require, if you're going to find something, they require knowledge mobilization plan and the development of research proposals. So if you need to put something into action, you have to get this a knowledge mobilization plan in place. And KMB strategies increases, this strategies we're using, it's going to increases the probability that your research will be used for its intended purpose by intended audience. So it's not, your research is not dying out in that library or on the shelf. So it's going to get into action, hopefully. I would like to share with you this video we made together as a group. I remember opening it, but now I don't see it. Just a sec.
You guys see it?
I can see it now. You can play it again. I can't hear it though. Do you mind sharing the sound, Sam?
Yeah.
What is our plan of actions? It's a way to mobilize. Knowledge mobilization is a way to mobilize, a way to socialize as well. endless networking possibilities with so many end users. The audio is not working though. So what is knowledge mobilization? I'm saying the knowledge mobilization. And here also Daniel is, discussing what is knowledge mobilization. We can say it by heart. We did really lots of rehearsing.
Yeah, we have the transcript. I wonder, is Sam still there? Maybe we should.
I think Sam is working on the volume,
He's trying.
the microphone.
You guys can't hear it?
No.
No.
What?
We just discovered I'm wearing the same clothes.
That's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. Mitchell?
This is Mitchell. I think if you go up top with options, up there, you've got to, there may be like 3 little dots there. You click on that and a menu should come down. It says share sound. And then
The only
Sam,
thing,
what-
the only thing in those 3 dots is report a problem. Usually you're right, but I'm not. I just don't
Hang
understand
on.
why.
I think you
Hang
need
on,
to share a
Sam.
tab. It's when if you share the tab
Oh.
and
we're up top where it says options.
I see. Okay. Hang on.
I
Hang on.
just made
Try
you
that if
co-host,
you
Sam,
can
so
there.
that
I think we got it. Let me know if you guys hear it.
yep.
What is knowledge mobilization?
Knowledge mobilization is moving research-based evidence into practice or policy.
Knowledge mobilization is about getting the right information to the right people in the right format at the right time. It is an umbrella term encompassing a wide range of activities relating to the production and use of research results, including knowledge synthesis, dissemination, transfer exchange, and co-creation or co-production by researchers and knowledge users.
Knowledge mobilization is not just about disseminating information. It's not just about sharing, publishing, or one-way information flow.
It is about engagement, end user participation, and attention to impact. And evidence doesn't just mean research, it includes practice-based evidence from the real world, and from the expertise of practitioners, and from the experiences of children, youth, and families. What works for them.
Why is knowledge mobilization important?
Knowledge mobilization increases the probability that your research will be used for its intended purpose by its intended audience.
What does the knowledge mobilization task force do?
We bring creativity to the dispersal of the research and make sure we can get it to as many people as possible, the right people. It consists of activities and outputs that build awareness, disseminate findings, and enable use of research. The goal is to maximize the impact of research and communicate these impacts as widely as possible.
Why now?
Because on average, it takes about 17 years to put research into practice, and at that point, the research is likely outdated. Most SSHRC grant applications contain a mandatory knowledge mobilization module that allows applicants to describe the appropriate target audiences and to demonstrate that its overall reach is both sufficient and appropriate. In particular, knowledge mobilization plans are evaluated when assessing the project's feasibility and its potential for impact within and beyond the social sciences.
How can I find out more about this?
You can visit our websites, Instagram page, Twitter page, Facebook page, as well as our online session hosted by the team lead of our knowledge mobilization program, Dr. Patricia Briscoe.
How soon can we get started?
As soon as you are ready to get your information out there. We have a team of people waiting to help service your research needs.
You can join our first info session with Dr. Briscoe on February 25th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
You can also check out our self-service Research and Knowledge Mobilization Center website at the link listed below.
Thank you for watching our video.
We hope you learned enough about knowledge mobilization to see its practical uses.
We hope to see you in a session soon.
All right.
Thank you, Sam.
Of course, finally got it to work.
We're gonna move on to outcomes and impacts, and the mic is yours, Danielle.
Perfect. Okay. So what we tried to do on this site was to give you some practical examples of how research has been translated using various free applications. So we've linked the application to each of the exemplars. So I'll let Sam explain the first one. It was done using a free application called Infogram.
And Infogram, it's actually a cool little tool. It's completely versatile, and you could change the colors and you can add any information you want. So I pretty much took a research study from Al-Shamira, and the whole study was about factors that affect the use of virtual classrooms. And it talked about behaviors and different external factors that could influence or hinder the use of virtual classrooms in any school in a specific area. So, I mean, that sounds like relative information, especially considering a lot of schools today are going through virtual classrooms right now and struggling. So something like this might not be seen traditionally because it's new. It's just needs to get out there. And we would be able to help put it into a streamlined way and get it out there.
So what we challenged ourselves to do was to take research articles using a topic that was relevant to research impact and to break them down into these high yield, quick bite bits of information. So some of us were using these for the first time, exploring them just as you would as a researcher if you didn't have KMB people helping you to break it down, if you decided to take this on maybe with a community partner. I know that in this particular, I think it was a 30-page 2021 research exploration as to why should universities knowledge mobilize. So this particular article looked at the impact of knowledge mobilizers working and consulting with knowledge mobilizers from other institutions coming together as partners. So when I envisioned this, I thought of how our US campus and our Canadian campus researchers or between faculty members could come together, even if we had some people who felt a little more confident to help mentor and work with other researchers to make their data more meaningful. I know that just today in praxis, in my application, we like research, we are given a lot of data, but professionals in the classroom, for example, probably won't read these articles. But when I'm doing my research, I can see how meaningful and applicable and how useful it could be in the classroom in a practical way. And so what could happen is you would partner with the Ministry of Education or maybe a particular board in order to present your findings in a way that teachers could use it. So those partnerships are really vital. Okay, and so that was Canva. Canva was also the application used to make that video. All of our videos. Sama, did you want to share yours?
Yes, sure. So I'll talk about, a research paper conducted in York University, and they used to the knowledge mobilization tool that used in this university is research snapshot, which is summarizing the research into 2 pages, focusing on what is the research about, like the key idea, what is the main key idea of this research paper, and it's a very important topic, which is knowledge mobilization and anti-oppression. And then what do we need to know? Who needs to know? It's addressing a specific audience, what they need to know. And the third thing that this research paper focused on was that what did the research do? And what do the research find? What is the finding? Okay, instead of reading maybe 3-4 pages about the finding, you just like a short snapshot about this finding of this research paper, so end user can benefit from it. And then what is the researcher processing? And then the other section focused on that, how can we use this research? Who can benefit from this research? How can we implement this research into practice or a policy? And then a snapshot about the researcher, just who are the researchers, and the keywords that, as we mentioned in the abstract, and writing the research paper, and definitely the citations at the end. So as you can see, it's really plain language, and really it's a summary. So it's really safe times for the practitioners or whoever is planning to use this research paper.
So what we did on this page was we tried to give some more specific design examples. So this wasn't necessarily ones that we had created or in particular. So, but we have templates that you could use as well. So the first one, I think, Sama, maybe you could explain the plain language purpose of.
Yeah. So the first one, it's also it gives a template. How does a knowledge mobilization poster would look like, and what kind of language. So it provides you. Please, can you just go to the last page? If you can enlarge it for me. No, the first one, the first slide. Yes.
This one?
Yeah, this one. KMB plain language.
Okay.
You can go to the next page. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So it's the KMP plain language, writing the instructions. So creating plain language, as so many research paper has this complicated jargons that not everybody's aware of. So we in knowledge mobilization, when you create your tool like posters or an infographic, you try to focus on using plain language. And as I said before, the infographic or the poster would say what is the research about and why the researcher matters. Who is your target audience? Are you talking to doctors? Are you talking to teachers? Are you talking to policymakers? So you have to make sure you're addressing the right users or audience of this. If you can go to the next page, please. And then you have, as I said before, identify your audiences, who you are speaking to. As I said, doctors, teachers, policymakers, politicians. And then to the next page, please. And you have to identify your essential message, the key and critical information in the research paper. You don't have to go into much details. People have really busy lives nowadays, and they need the gist of the research paper. What can they learn from it? What they can benefit from? Next page, please. And things to consider before writing. So you need to know, you need to differentiate your argument, recommendation, solutions. And you need to replace these terms audience wouldn't know or understand, and substitute this language or jargons with plain language words. And you need to identify that your audience might not understand already. So you have to get like a background information and decide which ideas you need to explain and which idea you need to leave out. So you don't have to put everything in the research paper on the infographic or the poster you're gonna use in your toolkit. And if you guys scroll to the last page, I can see a template of this one. Yeah, so there's a template now. You can put this in a template. You put you can identify who is your audiences, your primary or secondary, what is the knowledge does your research address, the findings, and so on and forth. Thank you.
So what we did was we pulled some examples of different types. So this research brief for different audiences. So you can see this was a research brief on immigration success of Canada's post-pandemic economy, which is for different stakeholders and policymakers, as well as nonprofit organizations involved in immigrant services. And here is a research snapshot. This is interesting because it explains the partnership. So what happens in some of these is, you'll see in some of the videos if you're exploring the site after, is you might, before you even apply for your grant, decide that you're going to engage in a partnership inquiry. So that when you're writing your grant, you'll be able to explain how that partner is going to help you to make the research meaningful. Because what they want to know is, was it practical? Was it useful? Did it have an uptake? And so that explains how that partnership works. And so if you look down on this website, you'll just see some other types of push examples to disseminate that information. And you'll see how partnerships formed, and some are simple, some are an Instagram post, and some are more complex. There's one, I think it's Tableau Public, PictoChart. So each one is linked, so you can look at that free application on the website.
All right, and we have here our information sessions. These are some videos that we've decided to put up here from. This one is actually the University of Regina.
Hello, everyone. My
I
name is
believe.
Emily Kosick, and
It's
I'm
a
the
bit of
Knowledge
a-
Manager for the
It's a bit of a
Canadian
lengthy
Institute
watch,
for
but you
Public.
know what? It provides, like it says here, just a good overview of knowledge mobilization. They talk about the process, and it's pretty much the same across the board. Everybody's trying to accomplish the same goal using different means. So the more information you have, the better. So we have a bunch of different resources here that come at it a different way, and we think they're all very important and they all provide some valuable insights.
Yeah, and you'll see they all have Regina shows a partnership from professors who worked, some embedded into the communities before they even wrote and while they were writing the grant and receiving feedback. And then the one on the bottom, the conceptual framework here is a well-reputed conceptual framework that's kind of been distributed. I found it in articles in the UK. I found it in articles all over the US. This is an overview, I think a really nice one of, research dissemination, uptake, implementation, who's involved at each step, right? And what do you do at each step? So you can see here, we focused a lot on how to disseminate, but also this idea of which methods and which tools work with which audience. And then of course, there's a video all on its own about impact and what that means, you'll find on the website. So what did it do? How did it change perception? And how did you measure it? How do we know that the outcome was what it was? So some of the videos explore the measurement piece as well.
Very cool. And some additional resources available to you. These mostly were actually provided by the government website. And we just posted them on here because they were some very useful additional resources. Let's visit a couple. Some can connect you to, honestly, different sessions with other people, practitioners in the field. It's a great way to get some new ideas and different perspectives. And this is actually the SSHRC website Danielle mentioned in the video. So this tells you about how to get funding, what you can expect, and pretty much all the criteria for knowledge mobilization. We have some step-by-step guide here to support your mobilization plan. So pretty much we are here to support you, but just as much you are able to support yourself with the research and all the different resources here we have available for you.
And I think what we learned in the research is that there are different tools and checklists that support various steps along the way. So this Cochrane checklist it's pretty detailed, and a lot of research KMB research I'm referencing right now will use this Cochrane checklist, and it seems to be quite well reputed. But there's also some that have been created, and I included and uploaded at one point on the website the Excel spreadsheet where you can actually copy it and save the data and measure your progress and impact as well. So that's somewhere in here. So as Sama outlined when she gave you a more simple tool, that's a basic tool if you're just starting out, and then we kind of work up to more complex tools depending on your comfort zone or how much experience you have in KMB.
Now we get to have some fun. So before you get to be KMB certified, you first need to watch these videos. Now don't be overwhelmed, they're fun, they're exciting, they're very engaging videos, a lot of smart people talking about pretty smart things. And then you get to go to our quiz. You type your name and then answer a couple questions. By the end of it, you get a certificate to keep in your records that you have become KMB certified and that you are able to do it on your own. We are still there to support every step of the way. However, you do need to get 50% at least of the questions correct in order to be certified. We don't just hand out certifications, you know. If you have any further questions, here's a little bit about us. We still need to add a little excerpt about Dr. Briscoe. There was so much that we couldn't narrow it down. She's so accomplished and amazing. I mean, how do you put that all down on one page? But between the three of us, you know, we just got a couple things down here.
Oh, Sam. Okay, so I think that kind of sums up the website, how it's put together. And again, we wanted, I know it may seem a little overwhelming, but I think there's a lot of really good information there that the team has collected and selected what some of the better things that would help you with the intention that, you know, we're working people. We want things that are good and quick and not long dragged out videos and resources. So the idea now from a knowledge mobilization perspective is that you are able to go here, learn on your own, become a KMB certified if you like by watching the videos, the resources, and doing the quiz. That's just kind of like a little fun thing to do if you want to test your own self at what you, how much you know about it. And then the final piece would be that, you know, you're working through some of these resources and using them with your research. So I know that, you know, in Canada, at least, that there's been a really big push in the last, like, maybe 10 years that when researchers apply for funding, they must have a KMB plan in place. And most of the funding that gets rejected under the federal government right now is because the KMB plan is not well established to demonstrate impact of the research or any impact in practice. So with that said, I'm sure there's other places. I mean, I know when I attended the How to Write Research Grants at NU, that 3-part series, that was one of the bigger things, like how do you demonstrate impact? And that's a really difficult question. But with a KMB plan, it makes it a lot easier to say, well, actually, I have some partnerships and I have some things in mind and how I'm going to disseminate them to different partners and collaborations and et cetera. So one of the kind of ideas behind this is that faculty can go to this location and find some things out on their own and use some of the resources to help bridge that gap between what you know and what you don't know about KMB and how you can make use a template to make a infograph or a research in a nutshell type thing. And then what do you do when you have these products done? That's where the partnerships and the collaborations come in. And that's probably the hardest part, as you know, is trying to build partnerships with people. So not too long ago, I started doing a little bit more work with this and thinking about how a researcher, could take on more entrepreneurial skills. So, which meaning that promoting your own research, but not just your research, promoting yourself as a researcher and flipping that, you know, starting with the end in mind, let's say. So instead of going to a school and saying, hello, I'm a researcher, or an organization, hello, I'm a researcher, I'm here to do research on you. This is my idea. This is what I want to find out. the way to build that partnership would be to go and say, hello, I'm a researcher. I'm here to help you. What do you need to know about your organization that may not be working well, that you need to know more about? Let's work together. So it kind of flips it the other way. So the researcher is looking to help the people that are in the field and working with the problems or challenges that they have, rather than going in and doing your own research. So it starts right from the beginning. Another interesting aspect that we're going to add to this is, as many of you know, the CCTL, which is the Teaching and Learning Committee, the College Committee of Teaching and Learning, for many years, they've given out grants to professors, faculty members at Niagara, not just full-time faculty or tenured faculty, but also adjuncts, to conduct research about classroom practices that they've tried, different things they've tried. And what I found is that, wow, like, where are these reports that, you know, once you get a grant from the CCTL, where are these reports going? So all these wonderful practices that are coming out and reports about what worked, what didn't work, and it's just lost. So even at Niagara, we're not good at disseminating even our own research projects, such as the ones generated from the CCTL grants, to each other. And so we just had a meeting a while ago, and I got this idea thinking, hey, we should make our KMB research center house these CCTLs, and maybe even help like disseminate those amongst our faculty, because it's a great place to start. It's a great resource, and there's lots, and nobody seems to know about them. So hence, you know, another objective of why we can start putting together you know, those great practices that people, our faculty, have tried, written reports on, and nobody knows where they are and nobody knows about them, unless, you know, you go to the virtual seminar, or you go to the seminar that they hold at the end of the year. And it's like, we can do better than that, right? We can disseminate these results in a way, or the reports in a way that might be very useful through an infograph. And as busy faculty, we can read it quickly and go, wow, I don't think I'll try that in my classroom. And away we go. So we're hoping that we can get a better partnership with that as well. So again, I would like to thank my team for all your hard work and what you've done thus far, putting all this together. The reason why our website is not now yet synced with Niagara University, as you know, since the spyware attack last year or 2 years ago, whenever that was now, the years are flying by. We need to make sure that everything that we have there can sync over, and that we're given the space, and it's all protected, encrypted, and et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to IT stuff, but that's what we need to make sure, that this is not a loophole to get into the NU system. So, and as you know, IT is swamped with a lot of things, and they're going through turnover, so it just may take a little bit longer. So until then, we can use our external link, and faculty members can access it that way, because it's external to NU, which means it won't connect it anyway at all. So hopefully that will be a work in progress, let's say. And as we move along and we find or have different, you know, if people have questions or concerns, or hey, what about this, then we're a very organic group, and we can make left turns, right turns whenever we need to, because we're really about making this work and providing to faculty an option to help them get their research into practice through the knowledge mobilization practices. So at this point, if anyone have any questions or final comments or anything that would like to share with our group, by all means, take the mic, and I'll just stop now, and then we'll see if there's any questions. How about I ask a question, and from the people that are
so
here.
much information, and maybe it's really hard to digest from one session.
Yes. So what we're going to do, Lucy, you're quite welcome. We're going to, of course, this is recorded, so we're going to put this introduction to the self-serve KMB Center on the website, so that people can access it thereafter and listen to it, for those that didn't make it today, or that like many times I do is like, oh, I'll listen to the recording later. That's like my famous saying right now. Besides you're on mute, it's like, listen to the recording later. That's my next line. Mitchell, did you want to ask a question or make a comment?
No, I just wanted to thank you all for one, the work you're doing and have done, and also for sharing this. And I take it that this is something that both campuses, faculty on both campuses can get involved in.
Definitely. It's in Niagara University, either or. I mean, the website will be housed wherever. And kind of our plan moving forward is that once the team gets most of the resources and the website and everything figured out, and they too needed to learn about how to do different things with KMB, then the idea would be that to sort of send out an invitation to faculty, if you've had a recent or even a past research publication that you would like maybe turned into a research snapshot, or maybe you would like to host an event about your research, and then go to them and then we'll help you through that. So that's kind of like our next phase of the plan, and that probably won't happen until April, the 1st of April. We're going to give ourselves March to get everything else organized, and then we're hopefully going to send out to the faculty again, like, is there anyone that has a research publication that they would like some help with making it into a research snapshot so they can disseminate with members of a community group or whatever, so that people can understand what they're doing, and or how to make a community connection with some of the research ideas that you had. Because I mean, we're very good at doing things in silos, but we're not very good at sort of sharing and disseminating what we're doing with each other. And that's I think is problematic everywhere, right? Trying to keep the lines of communication open amongst everyone. So yeah, we're quite excited about this. And I threw these 3 people together that knew nothing about KMB, and they've just been like, wow, they're like crazy for it now. So it's great. I'm very happy with them. Lucy, did you have a question, or I know you say thank you, but did you want to say anything? Take the mic.
No, thank you so much. I'm just here gathering information, so thank you.
Good. Okay, so team, did you have any last or final comments that you would like to say?
Thank you for coming. I can say this has been a learning journey for me as an educator of 25 years now. I love reading research. I'm a minority, and I often translate in slides when I'm presenting to staff, right? Or I will add to a website, or I'll bring it into professional development. But I don't even know that my interpretation is exactly what researcher had intended, or if I am the audience. How amazing would it be if I could speak with the researcher ahead of time and say, this is what's happening at my site. I have all kinds of my research is on newcomer students who seem to be, de-streamed, pathway streamed inappropriately. What can I do to help? What are the parents feeling? What are the, imagine then if I could share that in a meaningful way with the community. So it really excited me, KMB. I thought, well, this is exactly what we need in our community. I was in conversation with a math department head today who's currently tasked with transitioning to D-stream math this year. And I have been researching all kinds of articles on our database that give some amazing strategies and work that's been done elsewhere globally. And he said to me, where can I access this? I would love to see what other people are doing. And I said, well, that's the thing. It's in this database. You need to be registered in a university and you need to know how to access that database. And he said, well, that's too bad. It's just too bad. Yeah.
That's one of the most common things, is that research is behind paywalls. So if you're not a student, you don't seem to access it the same way that other people do. Now there are free sites. There's a lot more open access than before, but still. So hopefully this will help us bridge that gap. Anyway, we're almost at our time up. So I will close our session. I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the team for your preparation for this. And we will say that there's more good stuff coming from the KMB team, the NU KMB team of myself, Sama, Danielle, and Sam. Okay, so thanks everyone and take care. Thank you. Thanks for coming.